So, yes, another big one that has to do with the immediate past governor of Kaduna State, El-Rufai, dumping the All Progressives Congress and has now officially defected to the Social Democratic Party. El-Rufai cites APC's leadership style as part of the reasons. He accuses the leadership of the APC of straying from the progressive ideals of the founding fathers. In a statement, he says, developments in the last 2 years confirm that there is no desire on the part of those who currently control and run the APC to acknowledge, much less address, the unhealthy situation of the party. On my part, I have raised concerns in private and public, more recently in public, regarding the capricious trajectory of the party. Therefore, at this point in my political journey, I have come to the conclusion that I must seek another political platform for the pursuit of the progressive values I cherish. It says, today, 10th of March 2025, I have submitted a letter resigning my membership of the APC to my ward in Kaduna, effective immediately. Prior to these steps, I have concluded consultations with mentors, colleagues and loyalists across the country about the future. I have now decided to join the Social Democratic Party and adopt it as a platform for our future political engagements and activities. So yes, El-Rufai has eventually left the All Progressives Congress, a party. He is a co-founder of that. He's part of the founding fathers, if you will, of that party's name. Is part of those who signed for that merger. But hey, that is not all we're tracking. It's going to be a big conversation. Let's bring you your political roundup stories. We'll be back.
The Supreme Court of Nigeria has reserved judgment in the appeal filed by the embattled Secretary of the People's Democratic Party, Samuel Anyanwu, challenging his sack from office. Anyanwu, in the appeal, is seeking to set aside the judgment of the Court of Appeal, which upheld the Federal High Court judgment that removed him as the Secretary of the party. In a 10-ground appeal filed through his counsel, Ken Jamanze, Anyanwu prayed the Apex Courts to allow the appeal and overturn the decision of the lower court. The Benue State Local Government Election Petition Tribunal could not continue with its proceedings in Abuja as a Federal High Court order restrains the tribunal from sitting outside the state. Counsels to both the petitioners and the respondents told Channels Television that they are ready to relocate the tribunal to Makurdi, the Benue State capital, if Governor Hyacinth Alia can guarantee their security. Meanwhile, there was heavy presence of security officials at the National Secretariat of the Nigerian Bar Association, venue of the tribunal, as protesters took over the road leading to the Secretariat. The People's Democratic Party, PDP, in Edo State has criticized the ruling All Progressives Congress in the state over an alleged spike in criminal activities leading to insecurity concerns among residents. The chairman of the PDP Caretaker Committee, Mr. Anthony Aziegbemi, explained during a briefing with journalists in Benin City, the state capital, that the present administration has been overwhelmed by the worsening insecurity, accusing State Governor Monday Okpebolo of disregarding the rule of law, which led to the present crisis in the local government councils across the state.
The state, which was repositioned as one of Nigeria's safest places to live and do business during the Godwin Obaseki-led administration, has now become so unsafe, gaining a notorious reputation as a capital of kidnapping.
And in Delta State, there's a major political realignment as Chief Great Ogboru of the People's Democratic Party was officially received into the All Progressives Congress alongside his supporters. The event, which held at Ughelli, was attended by top APC leaders, including the Minister of Aviation and Aerospace, Mr. Festus Keyamo, and other key party figures who received him into the APC fold, expressing optimism on the downfall of the PDP in the state. Mr. Ogboru pledged to work with party leaders to strengthen the party and drive positive change in the state.
This is a blessing. At the height of opposition, PDP get power for this state. Power. You win. Swear local government. Swear.
Okay, let's begin that conversation. A lot is happening in the polity, especially in politics, and we're barely over 2 years away from whether President Bola Tinubu decides to run and he succeeds himself, or whatever happens. But what is going on, there's a lot of realignment and alignment. And that's why I had to bring in former senator who represented Kaduna Central, Senator Shehu Sani. He joins us from our Abuja studios. Senator, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you for having me.
There's a lot to unpack with you on the program, from politics and every other issue. But let's begin from the latest. I know, and everyone who follows you know exactly that perhaps you and the former governor of Kaduna State had not been in the very best of terms politically in the last few years, but you were friends before now. Now that is defected from the All Progressives Congress, a party he was very critical at forming a merger and playing a critical role in the president's emergence as the president of Nigeria, given the fact they played a role in his emergence as a candidate of the party. How does this come to you? Because now you're a member of the APC, so you have a stake on the table.
Thank you for having me in this your program. Well, first of all, for those of us from Kaduna State, it is a good riddance because he stands as a liability to the party in the state. And I can back this with facts. In 2015, APC had 2 senators. By 2023, all the senatorial zones were taken over by PDP. And out of the 14 House of Representatives seats in Kaduna State, under Nasiru, by the time he left, almost 9 of the seats were won by PDP, 2 by Labour Party, and then 3 by APC. And with him as a governor, the APC also lost the presidential election in Kaduna State, with Aswaju Ahmed Bola to be pulling 399,273 votes and Atiku pulling about 554,360 votes. So you can see that by the time he left, already the party was an unpopular platform in the state. So his exit now is an opportunity for the governor and party leaders of the state to embrace the people of the state and to reconfigure and reset the party towards the next election. That is on one side. And it is said by Shakespeare that the evil that men do lives after them. Nasiru evicted so many people out of the party on the basis that he is the alpha and omega of everything. Today, all that he has done has returned back to him. I think in the past, people say they should wait for a day of judgment, but it is dramatic nowadays that things happen within a jiffy. This was a man who evicted us out of the party and was proud to have said he has sent us to the forest. And today, the Lord has evicted him to the wilderness. He is into political oblivion. What he did to us is what has happened to him without our own influence. And so I can say that for anybody who is from outside of Kaduna State, you can make your own judgment and make your own comment. We have 23 local governments in the state. The governor of the state, even who Nasiru both campaigned for and also campaigned against, because he was double-faced, won the governorship with a close margin of 11,000 votes. So it is now that since he is out of the party, that the governor can reach out to political forces, alliances, individuals, groups, allegiances, and see how he can mobilize support for the party. And Senator, most of the people who went out of the party, who were forced out of the party when he was a governor, have now returned to the party. So it is something of celebration to those of us from Kaduna State, that someone who has become a thorn in the flesh, someone who has pushed the party away from the people, is now out of it, and then people can return back to the party for
Senator, if I may come in,
the goal of winning the next election. Yes.
Senator, if I may come in, Would you call a man a liability for... we were all witnesses to the effect that when some northern leaders wanted a northern president to succeed Muhammadu Buhari, he literally rallied the northern governors to the effect that, look, this cannot happen. And he got the ticket, at least from that interest, that such that President Bola Tinubu, I'm sure by appreciating what he has done, had to literally court him to say, look, I know you want to go and study, but you have to stay back and do what you can. I need you in this government. And he also played a critical role in the emergence of Senator Shehu Sani, who is now the governor of the state, at the end of the day. So if a man who was able to produce a governor, quote unquote, bring some level of force to the emergence of the president of a country, would you call that man a liability?
Well, I will still pose the question to you. For a man who claimed to have mobilized the North to vote for Tinubu, why did Tinubu lost in his own state? Look at the margin between Atiku and Tinubu. I'm repeating it. Tinubu got 354,273 votes. Atiku got 599,360 votes. So how can I sit down here if I'm a governor of the state and tell you that I have mobilized all the North to vote for you, while I can't even convince my own state to vote for you? And for the first time since 1999 in history...
My apologies, Senator. My apologies, Senator. The counter-argument could be, without speaking for him, that even the president himself lost Lagos. As forceful and as powerful, the Jagaban lost Lagos.
Well, it is. The president is not contesting for the governorship of Lagos. He's contesting for the presidency of the country. So he can win in other parts of the country and then lose his own. But this is a person who can't even deliver his own state to the governor and to the president. And let us even go by the facts on the ground. You know the situation we were faced with in Kaduna State from 2015 to 2023. A section of the state was marginalized. People were pushed out of their jobs. Homes were demolished. The man that you're talking of has no respect for court orders, and several things that happened, which made the party lost. Yes, he campaigned for Shehu Sani, but we have it on record, where in one way he's telling the people of the state to vote for Shehu Sani, and in another way he is cautioning them against voting for him. All these things here, we live in an internet age. The voices are there, the audios, the videos are all there. So he had a divided mind over even the person that he brought. And I'm saying it repeatedly, that Shehu Sani did not win election because of Nasru, but he lost votes because of Nasru. That's a fact of the ground. Well, for the fact that he was a member and a founding member of the APC in the state, in the whole country, and now he was out of it, that was what he did to us. We are founding members of the APC, at least in our own state. He was so fanatical about Buhari. Any person who criticized the APC became to him like a religion. But today he is out of it. And if you can remember, I was in the Senate from 2015 to 2019. Whatever I say about APC, whatever I said about the leadership of Buhari, he is up against me. And today, look at the table. When we tell them that power is temporary, power is ephemeral, power is superficial. If you are in power today, tomorrow you'll be out of power. People can forget that you are in power, but they will never forget how you treated them while in power. If you happen to be in a position of authority, know that there will be tomorrow. And the life you will spend outside of power will be longer than the one you spend in power. They were in power, they were intoxicated with power. They speak with authority, with audacity, with arrogance, and think that there will be no tomorrow. Tomorrow has come. He is displaced. He said in the past that we have gone into oblivion. Today we are back to our homes, and he has gone to oblivion. He sent us to the forest, and today he is in the wilderness. That is how it works. Whoever have found himself in a position of authority or power should know that there will be tomorrow, and tomorrow has come. All the people he sent out of the party are now back to the party, and the party whom he prided himself to have established or founded is out of it. I said it repeatedly that take caution. Power is not something you should misuse and abuse, and this is exactly what it is. He's back to his trenches. And we need an opposition in the country, there's no doubt. If you don't have opposition, the government sleeps, and then we head to a tyranny. But not a coalition of disgruntled elements with someone who felt entitled. If Aswaju has appointed Nasru a minister, all these criticisms, all these attacks, all these things here that he's saying will never happen. He will be the most fanatical, the most vocal, the most vehement in terms of attacking any person who said anything against the government. But the fact that he felt security screening, he's out of it. Now everybody is evil, and he wants to mobilize the North to vote for a candidate, the man who said the South deserves power for the next 8 years. What he did to us is what is happening to him. There is nothing we have not seen in Kaduna State. And today, he is at the receiving end of it. And whoever is in power today should learn from what has happened to Nasru.
So are you saying that the APC is not concerned, worried, perturbed, because we're seeing resignations following his own resignation as well? We know he has visited former President Muhammadu Buhari a couple of times. We've seen pictures posted by himself and others. We've seen him visit Pastor Tunde Bakare. We don't know the outcome of those visits, what it is all about. We've seen him visit Aregbe and other. We have even seen him, visit or liaise with some people living in the other opposition parties. So are you saying it by essence that the APC, this is nothing to worry about, even in the coming elections?
Well, you see, you don't win election by visiting people here and there. You win election from your state. If you tell me that he is visiting wards a local government in Kaduna State to deliver, and that's a different thing. But you visit people who, what are you going? As far as I'm concerned, there's nothing to worry about. We are from Kaduna State. We live in Kaduna State, and we know that his exit is of no political consequence to the state. The governor is doing a fantastic job. He is reaching out. He has cement. He has bent fences. He has built bridges. He has reached out to people from all parts, all people who have been marginalized, ostracized, and evicted out. He has reached out to them. And we have peace. We have unity. The people, the House of Fulani from northern part and the Christian part of the southern Kaduna are now living peacefully with each other. When last have you heard our school have been attacked by bandits and schools where people were kidnapped? Though there are still pockets of insecurity. But what we are having in Kaduna State now is far better. And we don't mind him going to places here and there. But all that we know is that by 2027, we are going to deliver Kaduna State as we want it, because the people are with us on the ground.
There are a couple of other issues I want to raise with you, but we're not done with this issue of defections and changing political parties and all of that. Some of the things he raised, now you're on the APC. Maybe we'll take a look at, he has raised this before. I know he had granted one interview and he spoke about some internal democracy, internal processes. Coincidentally, just a few days after that interview, the APC actually held its NEC meeting just almost 2 years after. But if I read some of his thoughts, which I had read earlier, I said development in the last 2 years confirmed that there is no desire on the part of the party, desire on the part of those who currently run and control the APC to acknowledge, much less address the unhealthy situation of the party. What do you think he's trying to say here? Because this is the premise under which he's leaving, in his words. Everybody can speculate as to why he's leaving, whether he wasn't given a ministerial position, he's angry with the president, who he felt should have protected him, even when the Senate rejected him, and all of the issues that were raised. But there are issues within the APC, now that you're in the APC, that this letter should address.
Well, when a state governor, a disgruntled former state governor, makes claim of lack of internal democracy in the party at the national level, for someone like me, I would just laugh over it. Come to Kaduna State. I don't speak from Kano, Katsina, or those states. I'm talking about the state where I come from and he comes from. For the whole period he served, from 2015 to 2023, there was never internal democracy in the APC in Kaduna State. Whoever was the chairman of the party, secretary of the party, whatever of the party, they were all his nominees. All the local government chairmen were all his nominees. All the speakers are all his nominees. Everything begins and ends with a state governor, typical of what happened in every state. So it is convenient for him now to say that because he's out of the system. So anything he will say, he can continue to say. But whatever he is going to say about this party is the same thing that he has done while he was a governor of the state. On 3 occasions, the national body sent in 3 people to reconcile the crisis in Kaduna State. He refused. The first committee was set up by Masari, if you can remember, the former governor of Kaduna State. He refused to listen to him. Shehu Sani was sent to reconcile people in Kaduna State, APC. He refused. The third was Inua Abdul Qadir, related to Inua Abdul Qadir, the former national legal advisor of the party. He ended up demolishing his home. So he doesn't believe in democracy. All those things which he is saying are not things he believes in. But for the sake that people want someone who can criticize and be an avant-garde against government policy, you can line up behind, but try and know the person who is going to line up. I'm telling you, you can mark this word here. There will soon be crisis in the SDP, as long as he is there. And you will mark my word, it's going to happen. There will be crisis in the SDP, because wherever he goes with his own character. Leopard never changes his skin. And I'm saying it very blank that what you think will happen is not going to happen. Kaduna State will remain firmly under the control of the governor of the state, whom he has been enjoying the goodwill of that state. And despite me, I said it very well, we went to the APC. If today he's going to come back to the APC, I will pull out of the APC and join another political party. Even if it's Labour Party, I will join. But I can't stay with someone whom I know habitually will always create crisis wherever he is. And I'm saying it in clear terms, that Kaduna State will be run fairly and squarely by the governor of the state as it is now.
So clearly, wherever Nasser El-Rufai is, we can't find Shehu Sani. Wherever Shehu Sani is, we can't find Nasser El-Rufai. That's the take. But finally, on this particular thought, on the defection or leaving of the party, it's literally saying he's rallying opposition to challenge the APC in coming elections and in 2027. Some people have said unseating an incumbent is a tall order, but he believes he can do it. What do you think? Why do you think he has that impetus or that courage or boldness to say the things he's saying and is very confident that he's going to shock everyone?
Well, I know that these are some of his antics, and for us, we will not say anything, but we will lay the card and we will see what will happen as far as the next election. Only God knows what will happen tomorrow. Nobody knows who's going to be alive in 2027. But if we are alive and healthy, we will see who will carry the day between us and him. I think he's from Kaduna State. That's where we come from. Well, let's put the cards on the ground and see what is going to happen. As far as I'm concerned, the result will speak for itself. But I am telling you assuredly that the party will win at the presidential and the state and the National Assembly elections. In the state, and as far as Kaduna State is concerned, I'm not talking about our state, but as far as Kaduna State is concerned, we're going to win the next election. As for rallying the opposition, well, if the opposition see him as one with a moral standing to line up behind them, well, good luck to them. I can't say anything about that. In general terms, this is democracy. We need a vibrant and potent opposition that will hold the government to account and then make sure that people in power are also on their feet. But when you line up this disgruntled element of this kind here, who are likely going to whip up sentiment, we will be ending up nowhere. And I believe that this is where they are going. The SDP will see all those issues that I'm lining up. It's just a question of time. But with or without him, as far as I'm concerned, he's politically irrelevant in our state, and we're going to win the next election. All
right, Senator, let's move away from the issue of Nasser El-Rufai to other issues within the time we have for you. And that has to do with what played out in the Senate. You actually tweeted that period to say that it was Senator Bukola Saraki and Senator Ekwerem Madu that literally saved you from a 6-month suspension because of your revelation as to what the Senate ends. I know that I've had a back and forth with the Senate spokesperson one time about that pay issue. In fact, eventually when we had to bring out all the details. So, and now what we're seeing play out is some issues around adjudication and back and forth as to that effect. First and foremost, I would like your general comment on what is playing out in the Senate, because there's been a lot of for and against as far as the issue of Senator Natasha Akpoti, allegations against the Senate President Godswill Akpabio. But that is still is going to be under investigation by the committee. But what has been done so far is what they consider unparliamentary behavior, which she's been sanctioned, and now she's not going to be in the Senate for 6 months. Let's speak to the issue of sanctioning a senator and the voices of where they represent in the first place. Is that not too extreme in your view?
Well, first of all, I'm going to speak from a personal experience and from an informed position as someone who was in the National Assembly, specifically the Senate, for 4 years, and also someone who was once or twice or a couple of times involved in certain controversies in the National Assembly. Well, sometimes around 2018, when I was in the Senate, I nearly got a suspension when I made a revelation on the salaries and allowances of the senators, which was the first time in the history of this country that people start knowing what we are earning, the kind of alert that we're receiving. And it is on record that Saraki and Ekweremadu rescued me from being suspended. But it is important for us to know that suspension is part of the guiding rules in the National Assembly. It wasn't written by Akpabio or anyone. He inherited it, and I think he used it. But I will use this opportunity to talk to Nigerians straight as far as this issue is concerned. I have seen some people align themselves with Natasha, and I've seen some people align themselves with Godswill Akpabio on the controversy in the National Assembly. The question I'm going to ask Nigerians who have taken sides is, how does the issue that has become a controversy affect your life? Let us take it one by one. The controversy is not about the life of ordinary Nigerian that Natasha and Godswill are fighting over. The controversy is not the issue of the raising of electricity tariff. It's not the issue of raising of telecommunication. It's not the issue of prices of commodities. It's not the issue about people being unable to pay their rent or people being unable to pay the tuition fees of their children. It's not the issue of poverty or insecurity in Nigeria. It is the issue of the sitting arrangement of the Senate that escalated to a sexual allegation. Sitting arrangement of the Senate, how does it affect the lives of the common man who is battling to survive day and night? So before people get into politics internal conflict, I think it's important they ask themselves, how is that important in their lives? We are not in a situation where one senator stands up to oppose the policies and program of government, or one senator is advocating for a certain people's-oriented, masses-oriented policy, and the Senate president was opposed to it. It's not the issue. The issue is about sitting arrangement. Every senator you see sitting or standing in the Senate, he is speaking, or he has to speak from the seat that is allocated to him with his name tag. Is there. And the arrangement is such a way that the senators you see on the front row are the principal officers, followed by ranking officers behind them. And people who are coming newly to the Senate are in the back row. It has been there since time infinitum. That was the arrangement. And now it became a controversy. And now then an allegation came on sexual harassment. What is the allegation of sexual harassment? We went to visit a house which he has built, and then he made a comment, and then that comment became the sexual allegation. Now, ask yourself, it's not that it's a hospital that was built. It's not that it's a school that was built. It is a house that was built, and someone was there. And it is not that the masses in Ibadan or Sokoto, Kano, Katsina or Port Harcourt were invited to come and see a new hospital was built. So to me, I think if you go through it, you'll find out that there was a time that there was cordiality, friendship, and understanding between the two senators. And then somewhere it gets sour. When the going was good, Nigerians never knew anything about it until it went bad. And I believe that the two will reconcile, and Nigerians will be left out of it. So if there is anything this people should be interested in the Senate, should be issues that concerns their life, not issues about building of houses and comments that are made there and about sitting arrangement. When no Senate, the opposition and the ruling party are all approving every policy and program that is tabled before them. So how does one become a hero? By objecting to a seat in the Senate. Does that make sense? Now, go through history and see. Ningi was suspended from the Senate for issues which he has raised about allegation of budget insertion. Omoageye was suspended from the Senate on allegations that he mobilized talks to invade the National Assembly, specifically Senate, and seal the maize. And then Ndume was suspended. So every senator has his own issues of suspension attached to him. Then I ask you, what does the controversy in the Senate has to do with the payment of school fees of your children? What does it have to do with the payment of rent in your houses? What does it have to do with the food that you can't afford to eat? What does it have to do with insecurity and killings of all these things? But Nigerians have lined up before taking sides over the matter of seats and inspection of a house and allegation that was made there.
All right,
so
Senator, the point.
I don't think this is what is most important.
If I may, Senator, I was going to wind down. You know, the Senate has done within its rules what it says is done to people that exhibit unparliamentary behavior. But there are other issues which is important to the Nigerian woman or women, which has to do with sexual allegation. And now what that has done to the Senate is the fact that it's giving off a particular energy or a vibe or some sense of perception as to how safe women are within the spaces of parliament. Whether they are right or wrong, it's a perception that has been built. So in your view, how can this be corrected? Because they were swift in the decision-making process of sanctioning her for the unparliamentary behavior. Now, although there was a court, is it court order, court injunction or something like that, but they went on and did it. But there's also, she's resubmitted the sexual allegation petition to the Senate, which was admitted and forwarded for 4 weeks for them to get back and report back to the entire session. People expect the same energy to come forth. But how would they prosecute? How would they proceed with that? Because she's suspended for 6 months, and she's not expected to come in the arena. How will she defend herself? And how would the Senate redeem itself, given all of this that has happened?
Well, you see, it's just what I told you. Like, I come from a state where our major problem is issue of poverty, and our major problem is bandits killing our people. Our major problem has to do with the fact that people want to pay the rents of their mortgages, they want to pay the school fees of their children. So we have a priority. But if your own state, your priority is sitting arrangement of the Senate and inspection of a private house with comments being made, well, good luck to you. But I'm telling you that in clear terms, to me, my own point is that in the National Assembly, there is specifically in the Senate, we have a small book that is called the rule book. And that book clearly spelled the conduct, the behavior, the duties and responsibility of every senator. It wasn't written by the 9th or 10th Senate. It's been there for a very long time. So any senator who is in breach of that, there is a penalty for it. I told you that when I spoke and I made some revelations, I could have gotten my 6-month suspension. And the only way for a senator to make sure that he make his case very strong is that if you have any issue that has to do with challenging the conduct or behavior of Senate president, you need to consult with your colleagues so that by the time you stand up, and then they will be able to back you. But National Assembly is also a house of plots. There are times to which senators can sit down and encourage you. I've had a case where a senator will sit down and encourage me and say, okay, let's go to the floor and challenge Saraki and fight him. By the time you go to the floor, you find out that 99% of them are not there. You are the only person who is there. And they will all give excuses. So there's what they said, before you see monkey, monkey see. When I turn left and right and I don't see people whom we should be fighting together, then I know that they have set me up. So when you are in that kind of house, you have to be strategic, because every senator you see is representing his own constituency. He is not there for a fellow senator. And that is why you will not see any senator backing any senator when it comes to the issue of controversy, when suspension is allowed. But there are court orders that said senators cannot be suspended. But in a house like ours, where everyone is a senator, everyone is elected, there must be a guiding principle on how to preside over the house.
Okay.
To me, Natasha's issue can be addressed. The opposition leaders in the house should consult with the Senate leadership and then see how this issue can be addressed and they move on. But I have seen her standing alone, and the members of the PDP and Labour Party, we all know they are all even appending their signature for our own.
All right, Senator.
Then you know that she's acting alone, just like the way I acted alone in my own time.
All right,
so
Senator.
To me, I think if you are a senator elected there to be responsible, to be honorable, and to know that you carry the weight of the people you represent, and you have a duty, a moral duty to defend the integrity and the sanctity of that institution.
Senator, that's a fine place to anchor. Almost thank you so much for coming through for your perspective on the two issues we raised today on the program. Senator Shehu Sani, former senator representing Kaduna Central from Kaduna State. Thank you so much, sir, for coming on the program. I appreciate it.
Thank you.